Tomorrow is Jump Force's, I believe, 3rd year anniversary. It's actually only been 3 years. For some reason, I thought it's been 4. But in celebration of this, I am going to be doing something that no one on the internet should probably ever be doing. I'm going to share my opinion. That is right, we're doing our 2022 Jump Force tier list, something I've been avoiding since the beginning of time, man. Doing tier lists is a little scary because if you put someone's favorite character lower than they think it should be, you get a little lashback. I think 3 years of this game, I've finally formed a good opinion. Now, doesn't mean my opinion is right. Feel free to disagree. Feel free to go crazy in the comments if I put a character too low for your taste or if I put it too high for your taste. I'm actually recording this as I am done with doing all my testing and just, you know, putting where I think everyone should go. And some characters, even for me, I'm like, why did I put them that low? Why did I put them that high? It's so weird. But guys, I'm excited to show you this and I'm excited to tell you how I did this. So let's get into it. Since this was my very first tier list, I actually had no idea really where to start. The first idea that popped in my head is that I needed an example of who is S tier. The most obvious choice for me personally of an S tier character is just Goku. He's completely balanced and he does a lot of damage and he doesn't take that much damage and he's just very good overall. So I got it in my head that Goku is S rank. Now I needed to know what made him S rank. Now you can always look at certain characters and see how much damage they do, how much damage they take, and that can give you a very good idea on if they're good or not. But for me personally, what makes a good character in any fighting game or any game in general is how many options that character has to either deal damage or to get out of situations. So I went through Goku's kit and I looked at every single option he had and made a list of all the Jump Force mechanics and what characters could have or maybe not have. On this list is not every single mechanic or every single thing you can do with a character, but it's the most basic things I can think of that doesn't sway the ranking too hard. So what I did after making the list is I went through each and every character, Goku for example, and I went through the list to see if they had what was on the list. So an example here is Grab Ult was one of the first ones. I think it makes a great S rank character. And so Goku has a Grab Ult, so I give him 1 point in that box. The other thing on the list was Super with Super, meaning if you can connect a Super with another Super, that is very good. And so I went through each and every character and I made sure if they had it, they would get a point respectively. Now there are 15 items on this list and it is impossible for one character to have them all. Spoiler alert, Goku is S tier on my tier list. He is my base example. He got 13 points on this list. So naturally I decided to say if a character has 13 points or more, they are S rank. That was my baseline for S rank, and if they got any less, of course they'd be A rank, and I had the points scattered to where I believed it was fair enough to put someone in A, B, and C. There are no D characters on my list. It is S, A, B, C. Now I know in Jump Force every character has the actual potential of being honestly the best character in the game. I remember when I got my butt kicked by Gon. I remember when I got my butt kicked by Toguro. It doesn't matter, it all depends on the player, and that's why I'm doing this on kind of like a number basis. Basically only looking at what the character has and his options, his or her options. Now there are issues with doing it this way. I know that some of the mechanics aren't on there, like down tilts, up tilts, vanish, resets, stuff like that. And that's why I am including at the end of this list a bias point system. What this basically means is if a character is placed based on the numbers lower than I feel they should be, I need to explain why I can move them up just based on my pure own opinion, hence the bias point system. And I need to explain why though I am doing so. If I don't explain well, feel free to disagree with me and that character should be where the numbers actually placed them. But there are characters on this list that I'm looking at right now that don't deserve to be where they are. I also do need to emphasize I'm not taking assists into account. I am looking at the solo player themselves, but again, if they're placed lower than they are, I do and will say something biased about their assists if it's good or bad, and therefore it will raise them higher or lower. I'm also not including any type of guard break cheese mechanics or R3, so hence if Toguro was lower on my list and then I was like, oh, but he has a built-in guard break cheese so he goes higher, we're not dealing with anything like that. We're purely looking at just how we would normally play without guard break cheese and R3. And don't worry if you have no idea what is on the list or what the words on the list means. I will go through each character in each thing they have, and you'll understand what the list means in a second, guys. I'm sorry this intro took so long. Let's go with our first character. We already know where he's going to be placed, but let me explain it. We got Goku up. He is S rank. First of all, going through our list, he does have a grab ult. He can also connect a super with another super. He has plus unblock on his fully charged Kamehameha. It doesn't matter if they have it on only one ability, I am counting it. Goku does have an air super. His Kamehameha is AoE meaning it can hit more than one person. And of course, his Spirit Bomb is just as well an AoE ult. He does have the standard infinite. IT stands for instant transmission connection. This just means if you instant transmission or perfect smash on the ground and you can connect right after it with either a super or a light, you get a point for this. Hyper Armor, every character actually does have Hyper Armor, surprisingly, and I'm counting Hyper Armor as if you are using a super and they are trying to stop it with lights. Remember, only one of these abilities have to have Hyper Armor for it to count. Options after super, this just means if I use a raw super or use a super in a combo and I don't have another bar to follow it up, I can switch or at least do something else to follow it up after. For Vanish combos, they just have to have a good Vanish light string and Vanish heavy string. They get 1 point for each one. If they have a good light string, they only get 1. If they have a good heavy, they only get 1. Now this part can be pretty biased. It is my opinion if I feel it is good or not. For most heavy strings, as long as they can do a heavy, Vanish and heavy at least one time, I consider that good. And for light string, it really just depends on the character themselves. For Goku's sake, he can actually, at the end of his light string, put them into the air and they cannot escape from his meteor rush, and he has a few vanishes in between, so I consider that good. Goku does not have a first light knockdown. What this means is characters like Cell, Grimmjow can knock your opponent to the ground in one hit and therefore can do a super right away. It's very good in my opinion. The after grab mix just means that after your character grabs the opponent, your character has to do very little to develop a mix. Cell being able to grab and throw a light counts, as well as Trunks having a close grab, being able to walk or dash right after counts as an after grab mix-up. Unique tech can be looked at as very biased, and I think it is. And in unique tech, you can also argue that, oh, every other character is unique in this game, and you're absolutely right. But these are more the tech that either none of the characters can do, it's a certain ability, or it's game breaking, and I'm looking at as Goku being able to cancel a Spirit Bomb, throw someone into the Spirit Bomb, is pretty unique, so he gets a point here. Now here's where we add up all the points. He gets 13 points in total, and 13 or more points does land you in S tier. Now, of course, if I thought he landed in A tier and I thought he was an S tier, I would use some of my bias points here and talk about why I think he should be in S, but I think Goku is where he should be, and I'm happy with his place, so let's move on to the next character. Next up on our list, guys, we got Vegeta. Vegeta does not have a grab ult. He can definitely do a super into super. He is also plus unblock on his fully charged Gatling gun. Of course, he has air supers. He has an AoE super with his Gatling gun and an AoE ult with his final flash. He does have the standard infinite. IT connection, he has 2 of them. He can use the super and the dash. Of course, he has Hyper Armor as well. Options after super, he can switch from his Gatling gun. After a volley, if he has Big Bang, he can switch as well. Vanish combo for the lights, I don't think the light one is as good as it could be, so I don't give him a point here, but the heavy, he can do 2 heavies into the Vanish third heavy, so we give him a point there. Vegeta does not have a first light knockdown. He can super into ult if he puts him in the air with his volley or the fully charged Gatling gun. He does not have an after grab mix. Remember, this is just if you put little to no effort after the dash. You would have to time the dash here to do any mix. Unique tech, I do think it's fairly unique that he can do a bunch of supers in the air after he dashes, and just like Season 1 Deku, who is now taken away from, he can't do the Delaware smashes in the air anymore and dash after, so I think it's pretty good that Vegeta has this, so I'm gonna give him a point for uniqueness. Counting up our total, that brings it to 12 points, and Vegeta is a solid A. High A, so close to S, just missing 1 point. If I were to be biased, I think he's actually in a great spot here. A high A is perfect. I don't think he's completely S tier yet, but people have shown he's got great resets with that Vanish Light combo, but remember, we can't bring those in. But I think he's a solid character with a lot of solid options, and he's pretty slept on. So high A, I'm very happy with his position here. Next on the list is Trunks. Trunks does not have a grab ult. He can super into super. He does need to start it with a light or heavy though. He does have a plus block on super. Remember guys, plus block on super can be different for other characters. If you put two Trunks against each other, the ability would become just safe instead because they would both hit square and then they'd cancel each other out. But for the most part, it's pretty much plus. That's why I'm counting it. He does have an air super. He does have an AoE super. Does not have an AoE ult. He does have the standard infinite. The only instant transmission connection he has is the dash one. He does have hyper armor. Options after super. He's got many options. Vanish combo for his light is pretty awful. It's usually mostly used for resets, but in our case, we're not counting it because you can't connect anything. Same with heavies. There are no connections there. He does not have a first light knockdown. You can super into ult. His after grab mix is insane, especially near a wall or corner. And as far as I know, he does not have any unique tech, but if you know something that I do not know, go ahead and give himself a point in your eyes. Adding that all up, Trunks does get a total of 10 points, which is an A tier. That is the lowest possible points you can get before you drop down to B tier, so it is 13 plus and 12 to 10. I'm happy with his position. I was a little worried that he was going to be placed a little lower because of his Vanish strings, but I think this is a very good position, and the fact that his Vanish strings allows him to do a lot of resets, I think is very good for him. He's just a standard balanced character. I think he could be stronger, but I think low A is a very good spot for him. Next up, we got Frieza. Frieza does not have a grab ult. He can connect a super with the super. He is actually not plus on any of his supers. If we're counting the death saucers, I guess you can count that, but I'm not giving him any points for it. He does have an air super. His death beam can hit 2 people. His ult as well can hit as many people as it can. He does have the standard infinite. His instant transmission connection can only be done with the death beam. He does have hyper armor. Does have some pretty good options after the supers. His Vanish combo for his light, I'm not giving him a point. It's not as good, especially that last hit. He needs that. It does send them in the air, and he does get a lot of variety out of it. But his heavies are amazing. He has a Vanish heavy for every single one. Does not have a first light knockdown. He can super into ult. He does need to put him in the air, though, with that 6th light. His after grab mix is kind of a mix. I'm giving it to him because if you dash and your opponent is mashing, you can actually grab them out of it. If they're blocking, all you have to do is just wait a little bit after the dash and grab. Of course, they can jump out of it, or if you just want to mash on them after you dash, you should be plus on it. For unique tech, I can't really think of anything that makes him unique. His death saucers, I was like debating, but I'm just gonna go with he does not have any unique tech that I can give him a point for. Adding up all the points, that does give Frieza a total of 11 points, which lands him at a solid middle of A tier. I do agree with this. If we don't give him the grab mix-up, he is a lower A, but I think, my biased opinion, he is A tier. If you play against a Frieza that knows what they're doing and can pull off vanishes, especially if you vanish on the ground and then you call your assist and that Frieza's charging the death beam, it is incredibly devastating, and I think this is a good spot for him. Next up, we got Daddy Piccolo. Piccolo does not have a grab ult. He can super with super, just gotta get that Hell Zone grenade out there. He is only plus on his Hell Zone grenade, second activation. I am counting this because technically he still is plus, so I'm gonna give it to him. He does not have any air supers. His special beam cannon is AoE. He does also have an AoE ult. He does have the standard infinite as well as a built-in one. His instant transmission connection can be connected with a beam. He can also dash after and do a light as well. He definitely has hyper armor. Has options after his super. His vanish combo for his light is very good. You do 2 lights vanish, 2 more lights vanish, and do the 5th light knock into the air. You can do evil assault after, and they can escape. His heavies are also good in getting a point. You can actually do all 3 of them. For the 3rd one, you just need to vanish in place and then press the 3rd heavy, it will connect. He does not have a first light knockdown. You can super into ult. His after grab mix is really good. If you just dash right after and grab, if they are spamming or guarding, you will get the grab. They can only jump to get out of it. And as far as I know, Piccolo doesn't really have any unique tech. Hellzone Grenade is unique in its own way, as they stay on the field until you are hit. But I'm not going to give it to him. It's not really that unique to me, or it doesn't warrant a point. Adding up all those points, Piccolo comes to a clean 12 points, which makes him in high A rank, and I completely agree with this position. He's got some really slept on resets that no one really does, and no one actually has used Hellzone Grenade to its full potential, which means there's just so much more you can do with this character. His pressure is insane. His first light has immense priority if you half charge it. It's crazy. I am happy where the numbers put him in this spot, so I'm going to keep him there. Next up is our boy Cell, one of our mains. Alright guys, Cell does have a grab ult. He can connect a super with another super. He is not plus on any supers. He does have an air super, he does have an AoE super, and an AoE ult. He does have the standard infinite. He cannot do any IT connection. He does have hyper armor. He does have a lot of options after each super. His vanish combo is decent on the lights. He can vanish and do that fifth light in the air where they can't escape after your perfect attack, but I'm not going to give it to him because he doesn't have any vanishes before that. His heavies, although he does have the first two heavies vanish and then the third heavy, so I'm going to give him that for the heavies, but that's about it. He does have a first light knockdown, which is really good. He can super into ult. He can connect a super with an ultimate if he does 5 lights and then his perfect flash. If you do it any way else, it's usually just a reset. And after grab mix is insane. You can grab and then dash and throw a light, or you can switch and do a bunch of other stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and give him the unique tech that when you're in a stage transition, if the map is very large, you can perfect flash and float down before your opponent lands and do whatever you want. You can stage again, or you can just do a normal attack or awaken and do an ultimate. Adding up all his points is a clean 13 points, which lands him in S rank. I do agree with this, especially if we even take away his unique thing. I know other characters can do that stage transition tech, like Bisky. However, even if you take that away, his perfect shield is immensely scary. If you're hitting him and he's blocking, you still have to guess if he's going to use the shield. If he has 2 bars, his grab is immensely scary. He's also just that first light knockdown is just so good because he can super right after it. I'm not completely confident that he actually can't do an IT transmission. I think he might be able to pull off a dash light, and of course if you do involve switching, you can switch and then use his perfect attack just like the grab tech. So regardless, I think he lands an S even if we take a few things away from him. Next up, everyone's favorite Red Hawker, we got Luffy. Alright, getting into Luffy, he does not have a grab ult. Believe it or not, you can't super into super. He is not plus on any of his supers. He does not have an air super. He does have 2 AoE supers. His ult is not AoE. He does have the standard infinite. His IT connection is just a normal instant transmission and dash light. He does have hyper armor. He does have some good options after supers. His vanish combo with his lights is pretty bad, but his heavies are amazing, so he gets 1 point for his heavies. He does not have a first light knockdown. He cannot super into ult without the help of an assist. His after grab mix is actually insane. It's so good, it's so scary. And unique tech, I don't know if I want to give him a point for this, we'll see. But of course, being able to go into Bounce Man and stay as Bounce Man. The first 2 lights actually miss if you were trying to hit someone that close to you. But however, that doesn't really give you an advantage. Maybe you can look at it as an intimidation factor, because having this guy just stare at you in this form is very terrifying. Now this might be shocking to you, but Luffy only added up to 8 points, which puts him in the middle of B tier. Now, of course, I am going to use some of my bias points here. Luffy is an insane duelist. He has hyper armor on almost every move, an unblockable 2-bar ability that does immense damage and can be combined with another assist. If we take his assist into account, it's one of the best assists in the game and can hit multiple people, so that definitely gives him a point there. We're also not talking about the resets this man can pull off with his Vanish string. It is insane, especially having that unblockable 2-bar that is kind of hard to dodge in some cases. In my opinion, if we're basing this just on the numbers, he is B tier if you really think about it, but my biased opinion and based on how he can be played, we're gonna go ahead and try and not push to be too biased here, but we're gonna put him at a low A. This really sickens me, man. I really want to put him like right here. Not really S, but like at least right here. But yeah, I'm not gonna do it. Zoro's up next. All right, with Zoro, he does not have a grab ult. He can super into super. I wouldn't say he's plus on any of his supers. His counter, his circle ability, sure, he is safe in some characters he can actually beat out, but I don't know if I want to add it as plus. He does not have any air supers. He does have an AoE super, does not have an AoE ult. He does have the standard infinite. He does have an IT connection, just a dash light. He does, of course, have hyper armor. He has a lot of good options after his supers. His vanish combos for his lights are really bad. I'm definitely not giving a point here, as well as his heavies. His heavies are very bad as well. He does not have a first light knockdown. He can super into ults. His after grab mix is just like Trunks. It is super scary if you're caught in a corner, or if they just front step up at you. They can lion song you, or they can grab you again, or just light you. Now, I don't think Zoro has any unique tech, but I do like the fact, and this might be bias points, that you can do 2 lights into your counter or super. If they are spamming square to get a high speed counter, it will be a reset. If we add all those points up, he gets a solid 8 points, which is mid B tier. Now, of course, if we add the plus on block super on his circle ability, he gets 1 more point, which puts him at 9. And if we add that unique tech where he does 2 lights and then can line song or anything like that, I know other characters like Hisoka can do that, but we can give him 10 and bump him up to low A tier. I'm actually okay with Zoro being at low A tier. Zoro is a very scary character to go against. He's very good at what he can do, and his counter is, in my opinion, one of the best in the game. While it can't hit 2 people at once, it can also hit people in the air as well, and you can land abilities or ultimates after it. So I think a low tier A or a high B is very good here. All right, we got the foot fetish man himself, Sanji. Alright guys, for Sanji, he does have a grab ult. He can super into super. He is plus on his triangle super. He does have an air super. He does have an AoE super. He does not have an AoE ult. He does have the standard infinite. I wasn't able to do any instant transmission connections. Of course, near a wall, he might be able to, but I don't count the walls. He does have hyper armor. He does have options after using his square super. His vanish combo for his lights is pretty bad. He can put that last light into the air, but I don't think that weighs it down to giving him a point for that. His heavies are pretty standard. I am going to give him a point. He can go 1, 2 into 3, or a 1 into 2. He does not have a first light knockdown. He can super into ultimate. His after grab mix is insane. It's just like Luffy's. A dash right away. He can either grab or go into lights. Now, I wouldn't give him a point for unique tech. He is the only character that can't hit girls in the game, but that's not really an advantage. Maybe it could be in some certain fights, but I'm not going to give him a point for that. Adding up all those points is 11 points if we don't give him the unique tech, which lands him at a good mid A tier, or I believe that's actually, no, yeah, that's mid A tier. I agree with this. Sanji is a very good character. He can be easily countered by a female character, but it's not the end of the world. You can just switch characters. However, when he's not going against a female, he is a pretty strong duelist. He does have some negatives where his auto combo just kind of drops if you try and do a heavy too early in the combo, but his down tilts and up tilts are very good, and both his square and circle supers can hit multiple people, and it's very strong, and his triangle super is very strong for just having 2 bars and being plus. BlackBeard is next. For BlackBeard, guys, he does not have a grab ult. He can super into super. You just gotta land the super raw. He is plus on block if you want to count the dark end being plus on block, but I'm not gonna. He has no air supers. He does have an AoE super. He does have an AoE ult. He does have the standard infinite. I wasn't able to find an IT connection unless they were near a wall, but again, we don't count walls. He, of course, has hyper armor. He does have some good options after the super. His vanish combo for his lights aren't that great, so I'm not going to give him a point for that, but his heavy, he does have these standard heavy kind of vanishes. He does not have a first light knockdown. He can super into ult. His after grab mix might be a little biased, but I know you can dash at a certain spot and do the circle ability, and sometimes it's hard for your opponent to actually sidestep that. However, that's putting in a lot more effort than the other characters, so I'm not giving him a point for that. Unique tech, I don't think he has any unique tech that we need to be aware of. If I'm wrong, go ahead and add a point for yourselves, but I do not know of any at this current time. Adding up all the points, it is a solid 8 points, puts him in the middle of B tier. I actually agree with this. He is a very strong character, especially against an opponent that likes to switch a lot. You get a lot of double damage, but he is lacking in a lot of areas that other characters aren't. He's just not as strong solo, and definitely kind of relies on a lot of assists if he wants to do certain combos. BlackBeard is one of the characters that has the highest health in the game, so he takes a while to kill, and he's very strong if he ever lands the dark end, especially on assists. Is very scary, so I think this is a very humble spot for him. I'm happy where he is. Oh my god, dude, why are there so many? Next up, we got Boa, one of my personal favorites. Alright guys, for Boa, she does not have a grab ult. She can super into super. She is not plus on any of her supers, but she is safe on a couple of them. She does have the air super, she does have an AoE super, and she does not have an AoE ult. She does have the standard infinite. She does have an instant transmission connection with her pistol kiss. She does have hyper armor. She does have some great options after supers, switching, or doing anything else. Her vanish combo with her lights aren't that great. There are some reset opportunities there, but I don't think she deserves a point. Her heavies, though, are great as well. She does not have a first light knockdown. She can super into ultimate. Her after grab mix is just okay. She can usually pistol kiss after. The opponent can vanish, but you can switch, and the opponent has to vanish twice, or they miss the second vanish and you go into a combo. I don't think she has any unique tech. You can take her being able to freeze someone and then grab right after, which is pretty cool. But Gaara can also freeze someone, he just can't grab, so it's really up to preference. I'm not going to give her any type of unique points. Adding up all those points equal to a nice 10, which puts her in a low A rank. If we want to give her unique tech, and the only thing I'd be able to budge on this is being able to pistol kiss after the ult is so good. It's so good. But because the ult has bad tracking, I don't really want to give her a point. I think those cancel each other out. But regardless, I think Boa is a great character. A is where she belongs. And low A is, I think, good. So I'm happy where she is. Let me know your thoughts. Another one of my favorites, we got Sabo up next. For Sabo, he does not have a grab ult. You can super into super. He's not plus on any of his supers, but he is safe on his circle super. He cannot do any air supers. He does have 2 AoE supers. He does not have an AoE ult. He does have the standard infinite. You can actually connect an ability after his instant transmission. You have to walk up and wait a bit, then use Flame Fist. He does have hyper armor. He has great options after his supers. His vanish combo for his light is super good, although it does have a lot of lights that don't connect at certain points. It's still really well, and there is one that knocks him in the sky as well. His heavies just as great, as well as you can vanish dash right after his last heavy. He does not have a first light knockdown. He can super into ult. His aftergrab mix isn't as great as everyone else's. You do have to delay your dash and then you can maybe do it. But because we have to delay, I'm not going to give it to him. Unique tech, he doesn't really have any unique tech that I know about, but if he does, go ahead and add a point yourselves. Adding up all those points puts him at a high B tier. We get 9 points. Now I am going to use a little bit of bias, but I might actually keep him where he is. Sabo is very good with the resets. His abilities are insane. Dragon Claw is amazingly fast. It's only 1 bar. It can hit multiple people. Does really good damage. Dragon's Breath, which is a circle ability, hits multiple people. He can Dragon Claw off of it. He can jump into a heavy. He can ult after it. This guy has so many options that it's hard for me to say that he's high B tier. I do think he's low A tier. His ult tracking is not very good. It feels like it doesn't do a lot of damage as well. But I think just the standard resets in his combo might actually push him at a low A here. But if there's too many A characters, he is one of the characters that I won't feel too bad to drop to a high B. Moving on up to our favorite ninjas, we got Naruto up first. Alright guys, for Naruto, he does have a grab ult when he's awakened or he uses his ultimate one time. He cannot connect a super with another super. He is plus unblock on his circle super as well as Rasengan. He does have an air super. He does have an AoE super. He does have an AoE ult as well. He does have the standard infinite as well as his own little shadow clone charge cancel infinite. His IT connection can happen with a dash light. He does have hyper armor. He's got some great options after super. His vanish combo for his light is not very good. It's there, but it's not that great. It's probably going to be used mostly for resets. His heavy as well is really bad. You can't connect any of the heavies with each other. He does not have a first light knockdown. You can super into ult. His after grab mix is pretty tricky, but you can grab when you're awakened, press up twice on your analog stick and press light. That's the way I do it at least, and you can land a light right after. I don't think Naruto has any unique tech. The one thing that you can say is that he can launch his cane all the way from across the map just by lighting, but that's not really the best tech in the world. But if we want to count it, we can. Adding up all those points, he gets a solid 11, which puts him at mid A tier, and I'm perfectly okay with this. Naruto has some tricky stuff with his shadow clones as well as his down tilt, can do some fancy resets. His supers being a very plus is insane and costing in low amounts as well. Rasengan being able to land an ultimate after that ability can also catch a lot of people off guard. Overall, I think he's a pretty balanced character, and I think it deserves a good spot in mid A tier. Sasuke is up next. For Sasuke, he does have a grab ult. He can super into super. He actually, believe it or not, is not plus on any of his block supers. He is safe on Chidori, but a lot of characters can beat him to the punch with a light. He does have an air super. He does have an AoE super. He does not have an AoE ult. He does have the standard infinite. His instant transmission connection is a dash light. He does have hyper armor. His options after his supers are very good. You can switch, you can do another super, doesn't matter. His vanish combo is actually really bad with the lights. A lot of the lights don't connect. They do tag the opponent a lot, and that can open it up for resets, but they don't connect at all. Same with his heavies. His heavies don't connect at all as well. Is pretty bad. He does not have a first light knockdown. He can super into ult. He does have an after grab mix, dash, and light, and you can do a lot of stuff with that. And then I don't think he has any unique tech that I'm aware of, but if he does, add a point. Adding up all those points actually only adds up to 10, which is low A tier. Now, I actually did forget, and I already put this in the video, so the unique tech, I'm actually going to give it to Sasuke, because when he's standing in the Amaterasu, players cannot R3 escape or escape in general, and I think that's such a really good ability that he actually gets 11 points here, which bumps him up to mid A tier with his buddy Naruto. And if I were to be biased, I've seen a lot of great Sasukes with resets and charge cancels. It's crazy how much they can do. He also has a built-in Vanished Light reset with his last light in his string, which is super good as well. And I would put him high A tier. This might be where people kind of disagree with me or maybe agree with me. Sasuke is literally on the border of S and high A for me. He is such a good character, does so much damage, takes a lot of damage as well, but that's not a huge issue. His Amaterasu, like I said earlier, doesn't let people escape. If it hits 2 people, it does insane damage. He can tilt his fireball to keep himself safe during a combo or a block string. And his assist, if we talk about his assist, it is insanely good tracking. It hits 2 characters if it can, and it's also just, it doesn't make sense how long it lasts when it's charging at you. So he is on the cusp of S and A, and you know what? I'm gonna put him on S, but no, to me, he literally stands just in the middle of everyone. Let me know your thoughts on that though. Next up, we got the Mother of Chakra, and let me just say, this one might surprise a lot of you. Alright, getting into Kaguya, she does not have a grab ult. Believe it or not, you can actually super into super. You just need to down tilt, use your Bone Ash, and then go into your fists. She does have an air super. She technically is plus on block from her Bone Ash if the opponent's blocking and you use it in a block string. I wouldn't say she's always plus. Her herself, if you're playing against her, can beat her to it, but she does have a good light priority and can beat most characters. She does have an AoE super. She does have an AoE ult. She does have the standard infinite. Her IT connection is very good. She can super after it. She does have hyper armor, but can be knocked out of certain moves. Options after supers are very good, can switch. Her Vanish combo in light, I was debating on giving her a point, but then I said I should, because after 3 lights, she can vanish into her 4th and vanish again into her 5th. And after her 5th light, she can go into her super, her triangle one, the almighty push, and they can't escape, and therefore she can get that and ult or do whatever. Her heavy is very good as well. You can do it on the ground for resets or when they're in the air for just confirmed damage. She has a first light knockdown, which is super good. She can super into ult. Her after grab mix is there, but you do have to delay the dash. Kind of watch for your opponent right when they hit the ground, go ahead and dash, and you can grab, and right when they get up, it should hit them if they try and swing or guard. However, because we have to delay, I'm not going to give it to her, but just know it is there. And unique tech, it is very possible that I could give it to her because her Bone Ash does actually make the character's health go down gradually, which is actually very good and can catch some people off guard, and it does amazing chip damage, so I might give it to her, we'll see. If we add up all those points together, we actually get 13, which is an S rank. Now, I did count the unique, and I actually took away the plus super for the Bone Ash because I don't think it's actually truly plus. However, I am going to count her unique. Being able to take health gradually away from an opponent is very good. It kind of forces them to either switch or to lose that health. If they switch, they do lose the buff, but you can just hit them again. Kaguya, we didn't even talk about her assist. Her assist is just as amazing, can hit multiple people. It's fantastic. Now, the downside to her assist or her square ability in general is if for some reason, if you try and hit them while they're in that square ability, they can vanish out of it. They can high speed counter. It's weird, but it's not the biggest deal in the world. She also does really good damage and takes not as much damage. We didn't even talk about the down tilts. Well, if you do all 3, it's plus, and it's very scary pressure. Your opponent usually swings after someone sees down tilts, and you can punish a lot of people for that. She's just an overall good S rank character. When I was doing this, I was not expecting her to be here, but I think she deserves to be here, and I'm all for it. Alright guys, next up is Gaara, and he can grab ult, he can super into super. He is not plus block on any of his supers, but he can be safe. He does not have an air super, he does have an AoE super. He technically can have an AoE ult, but I'm actually not going to count it here, because regardless if it hits the other person, it will only do the cutscene on the main guy, so if the other guy's guarding, it doesn't matter. He does not have the standard infinite. If anyone knows if he has a unique infinite, let me know, otherwise he's not getting a point here. He does have an IT connection with his Sand Shower. He does have Hyper Armor. He does have some good options after the super. His Vanish combo for his lights are pretty bad. He does have the last one that can knock him up the air, but not enough to give him a point. His heavies are great. All three of them connect. He does have a first light knockdown. He can super into ultimate. And his after grab mix is not the best, so we're not giving him a point there. Unique tech, he definitely gets a point here. If you didn't know, if you Sand Coffin and then Sand Tsunami, it's a built-in reset if you ult right after. I think that's really cool, very unique, and he definitely gets a point right there for it. Adding him up all those points gets him a clean 10, which puts him in low A tier, and I agree with this 100%. Not only is he slept on, but he has that built-in reset with the right assist, can actually 100% a lot of characters if you're awakened. His down tilts are amazing, his up tilts are good as well. He doesn't have an infinite that I know of, so that's kind of a downside. And most of the time when you see him played, a lot of people just spam Sand Shower, so that does take away from his actual greatness. You know, he's kind of like Luffy with the Red Hawk. He can do so much more than that, but low A is, I think, is a perfect spot for Gaara, and I'm hoping we get a lot more Bs, but it's like I said, a lot of the characters on Jump Force are actually really good, and people just kind of don't know that, and so I think a lot of them might become A here. Next up, we got the sensei himself. We got Kakashi. For Kakashi, he does have a grab ult. I do not believe you can super into super without using an assist. He is not plus on block on any of his supers. You can kind of count shurikens for that, but it's not really. If you use it right next to them, they can easily punish you. He does have an air super. AoE shurikens do land most of the time. He does not have an AoE ult. He does have the standard infinite. He can do an IT connection with the light dash. He does have hyper armor. He does have some good options after the super, as well as switching and just goes for resets. His Vanish Light combo is not the greatest. The lights don't connect with most. There are some reset opportunities there, but not the greatest. His heavies, all of them connect. I have dropped the second one online if connection's bad, so we don't know about that. He does not have a first light knockdown. As far as I know, you cannot super into ult. I've been trying everywhere. Even if you can do it against a wall, that shouldn't count. It should be an easy standard super into ult, so I don't think he has one here. His after grab mix is not very good. In unique tech, I don't think we can give it to him. His shurikens are pretty unique, being so they hit twice and can technically open up for some resets, and when he awakens, he gets a new move, but that's not the best of unique tech, so we're not going to give it to him here. At the end of the day, Kakashi only gets 8 points, which lands him in mid B tier, and I am okay with him being here. I know he is very strong, the counter is very good as well, and his assist is actually pretty annoying to deal with if your opponent uses it at the right time, but he is missing a lot of strengths that other characters up here have. The super into super and super into ultimate is a big one. Any character that doesn't have that needs to have some sort of strong other unique mechanic that can make him strong, like Luffy here. But Kakashi being in high B tier or mid B tier is perfectly okay for me. If I were to bump him up, it'd just be high B. I don't think he gets to A tier exactly, but he's still a very good character, and he is actually pretty slept on. Next up is the best character in the game. You know it's true. He does have a grab ult. He can't super into super. He is technically plus unblock on his triangle super. Certain characters can beat him out, including himself, but for the most part, he is plus, so we might give it to him. He does have an air super. He does have an AoE super. Sometimes the shurikens hit more than one person. The Rasengan can as well. He does not have an AoE ult. He doesn't have the standard infinite, but if you do a certain amount of lights and then half charge your heavy, it can lead to an infinite. He does have an IT connection with a dash and his shurikens. He does have hyper armor. Options after super are pretty good. After the shurikens, you can switch. After Rasengan, you can use an assist or switch as well. His Vanish Light combo is not the best. It's pretty trash in my opinion, but his heavies do have the standard 1-2 Vanish 3, so we're giving him a point for the heavies. He does not have a first light knockdown. He can super into ult. You do have to do this raw. You can't really do it in lights, or you can have an assist, but we compare mostly on just the solo play. So if Rasengan ever lands randomly, you can ult after it. He does not have any after grab mix. You do have to delay big time or do something else to at least develop a mix. And he does have unique tech. We all know the Boruto reset as an assist, or him himself. It's so good. It catches a lot of people off guard. It's not that hard to dodge, but it's insanely subtle, and I think it's too good to not give him a point for it. Now, I usually meme about Boruto being really good, but guys, if you add up all that, it actually equals 11 points, especially if we give him the plus on his super and the unique tech. If we take those away, I believe it's 9 and it's high B tier. Now, personally, I do think this is a little high for him, and I wouldn't mind seeing him here at high B tier or low A tier. It doesn't affect me too much. But Boruto is technically really slept on. His pressure's insane. His lights are pretty annoying to deal with because they're so bad. You don't usually expect him to land, and they do land sometimes. All his abilities are 1 bar. His assist is a great reset potential and damage, and it tracks like crazy. You've seen a lot of my videos where the Rasengan has actually saved me just from throwing it out raw. And even if we don't give him the after grab mix, if you're awakened and you grab and you throw your shurikens are automatically faster and they do land. Plus, if you're not awakened, you can just switch, throw your shurikens, and now you have a switch on your character that you can go into whatever combo you want. I think low A, high B is good for him. I know a lot of you are gonna hate, but based on the numbers, he's still mid A tier. So I'm gonna put him here and see how many people I piss off. Up next, we got another fan favorite. We got Pegasus. Now, Pegasus does not have a grab ult, but he can super into super. He is plus on block on his triangle super. He does have an air super. He does also have an AoE super. He does technically have an AoE ult. It's pretty hard to land, but if the assist or character is there, it will hit them. He does have the standard infinite. His IT connection is really good. It also combines with the light dash. He does have insane hyper armor. He does have a lot of options after supers, especially with himself. He can just dash and light a lot of the times, or just light in general. His vanish combo for his lights aren't the best. You can do it after 3 lights vanish and then 4 lights, but after that you can't really do anything else. For his heavies, they are really good. There are some different ways you can go about it. If they're put into the air on the second light, you actually won't be able to land your second vanish heavy. Or if you do 2 heavies, vanish third heavy, that won't work unless you did a heavy, vanish heavy first. So it's pretty random, but they're all still good and they all still can be connected. So we give him a point. He does not have a first light knockdown. He can definitely super into ult. He doesn't have any after grab mix, unfortunately, and I can't really say he has any unique tech, but he's still a great character. Adding up all those points, he gets 11 points, which is a good mid A tier, and I think that's a good spot for him. I'd actually bump him up just a little with how much players have actually used his vanish lights and his down tilts and his up tilts. He's a really good character. Back when he first came out, I believe he didn't actually have a super into ultimate, and that was his biggest downfall, I think. And they made it so I think you can do a lot of connecting with his supers after he got patched. So Pegasus really has come far from what he was before, and he definitely deserves a spot mid A tier. Before, he was really bad, from what I remember at least. Next up, we got his counterfeit. We got Dragon. For Dragon, he does not have a grab ult. He can super into super. I'm not going to give him the plus on block super for his triangle because he's not. Certain characters I think he is, but for the most part, he's not plus on it. He is safe though. He does not have an air super. He does have a lot of AoE supers. He does have an AoE ult. Does have the standard infinite. Has a great IT connection with his Excalibur and the dash light. Has amazing hyper armor. He does have a lot of options after his supers. His vanish light combo is not the best, but his heavy makes up for it. You can literally vanish dash off of all 3 of them, and you can just vanish normally on 3 of them as well. He does not have a first light knockdown. He can super into ult. He does not have the best after grab mix, so we don't give him anything there, and I don't think he has any unique tech. I can maybe give him a unique tech point for being able to charge his square ability and straight up guard break someone that's blocking, but that's just kind of the same as Bisky's, and it's not that unique anyways. Unfortunately, adding up all those points only gives Dragon a solid 9 points, which is a high B tier. Now, I don't necessarily agree with this. I do believe I can bump him up to an A, so I'm gonna try and use some bias points here. First of all, his ultimate is scary. If he has an ultimate, whether he's awakened or not, you definitely cannot call out your assist depending on where you are, because he will ult it no matter what. Even if he's going to be unsafe and your main character is blocking, he will ult it just for the damage. His square ability has amazing hyper armor and can hit 2 people depending on where they are. His first 2 lights actually don't make the character fall over, so just like Hisoka, he can do a lot of charge cancels and just vanish in general if the opponent's trying to go for a high-speed counter, get a lot of resets. And his down tilts are really good as well as his heavies. I just think his heavies carry him like crazy with the vanishes, so I personally am going to bump him up to low A. I think this is a good spot for him. If you don't agree with me, go ahead and keep him at B tier. Next up, we got the only character with a gun, technically, in this game, Ryu Saiba. Alright guys, for Ryu, he does have a grab ult. You can super into super, even without just doing the gun 3 times. However, technically it is still a super into super. It uses 3 bars, unlike season 1 where it just used 1 bar. He technically is plus on block on his triangle super, as well as he can roll back on his normal square ability to keep it plus or safe. He does not have an air super. He does have the AoE super. His rockets can hit multiple people. He does not have an AoE ult. He does have the standard infinite. He does have an IT connection. You just gotta time it a little bit and you can roll forward with your bullet or dash light. He does have hyper armor. He does have amazing options after his supers, mostly just switching though. His vanish combo for the light is actually really good. You do have to do 3 lights before you can actually go into any vanishes, but it's super good at the end. Launches them to the air. You can do a roll with your pistol. For his heavies though, they're not the greatest. None of them land. The first heavy vanish, second heavy does land. It's usually for resets though. It's not gonna give you a true combo. He can super into ult. His after grab mix is actually insane. If you would double tap up on the analog stick, or at least that's the way I do it, you can roll with the pistol. It's kind of insane. Or if you just grab and dash, you can usually just grab right again. For unique tech, I actually am going to give it to him. The fact that he can use his pistol and a character tries to attack, it will slow down time and mostly give the priority to Ryu. As well, they can vanish, but they still have to use their mobility gauge, so it's a win for Ryu in the end. Adding up all those points, he gets a solid 12 points, which I think is great for him. High A tier is perfect. I don't know what he would need to get him into S, but if I'm being completely biased, a good Ryu player with the down tilt resets would probably make this character S tier. But for me personally, having kind of a useless ability, and I'm not saying useless, but the rockets don't do very much for him, especially since that's his assist. He's not very good as an assist character, but you know, a very creative player can use it to their advantage. It is usually used mostly for guard break cheese, but since we're not counting that, we can't give him any points there. But I think a solid A tier is very good for this character, and like I said, of course he can be an S tier character. Alright, Fist of the North Kenshiro is up next. For Kenshiro, guys, he does not have a grab ult. He can't super into super. He has no air supers. He kind of does as an AoE super. The triangle as well as the circle can sometimes hit multiple people. I've seen the square do it as well. He does not have an AoE ult. He does have the standard infinite as well as a unique infinite. If you do 2 heavies and then a light and then 2 heavies again, you can keep him in a block string. He does have hyper armor. He does have some great options after supers. His vanish combo for his light is atrocious. It is terrible. He can do a vanish light at the very end, but that's not really worth anything. His heavies aren't that great either. He can't do anything there. He does not have a first light knockdown. He can super into ult. His after grab mix can be really good. If your opponent is holding guard or pressing guard, he'll get up right where if you dash right after your grab, you can grab again. But if they're not holding guard, you just have to delay your dash and then you can go up and grab or light or do whatever you want. So that's decent. I'm gonna go ahead and give it to him because it's just a small delay. Unique tech, I am gonna give this to him. He can lower someone's defense with just one of his abilities, as well as take away their mobility gauge. Not a lot of characters have this. Meruem is one of the characters that does, but Meruem has to do an extra step to get there, while Kenshiro just has to use his 2-bar ability. And it's his assist, so that's really good as well. Alright, now adding up certain points, he kind of goes around 8, 7, 9 points, which is B tier. Now you may be wondering what the heck is Kenshiro doing here in B tier, and I agree with you. However, it does make sense that he's here because if you look at him, he is a scary character when he lands all his stuff. However, his mix is not insanely good. If you are if you're in a block string against him, all he can really do is grab, and his lights are very slow, so the grab is going to be easily seen. And if he tries to do the square, you can just backstep that. And if he tries to do his triangle ability, which is 2 bars, you can vanish that as well if you're good enough. So it's really hard to open someone up as Kenshiro. He does provide a lot of pressure. He's a fantastic assist. He's really annoying in that way. So that's why I think he really is just only high B tier. I can see him at low A. Now I could be wrong here. We could give him some extra points for IT connection. I wasn't able to do a standard IT connection in the middle of the map. You can do it near a wall. As well as we could give him plus on super for his circle ability, but a lot of characters have beaten him out that I tested, so I didn't give it to him at all. High B is okay. I know a lot of people won't like him here, but really, he's not that scary if you know how to counter him, but he is a very good assist to have on your team, so he is still threatening in that way. Guys, this is taking way too long, and I know maybe some of you want to see all of this, but I can't right now. It's almost over an hour, and I don't want to do this. I have the points already. We're just gonna go to the tier list. I'm gonna give my thoughts, and that's that. I'm so sorry, but there are way too many damn characters on this freaking list, dude. There's 53 of them, and it takes too long. I'm sorry. I have timestamps, and I'll leave a comment to warn you guys. I apologize. Alright guys, Ichigo is up next, and surprisingly he only got a score of 11 points, which puts him in mid A tier, but as you saw right there, I am gonna put him in S tier because this character is super good. Tensho is such an amazing ability. The threat of his square ability is just there as well. You can easily super cancel off of it. When he awakens, he gets a Tensho that he can use in his instant transmission that hits as well. People can vanish it, but again, it takes mobility gauge from them. His counter is okay, it's decent, it's just a standard counter. Ichigo is a threat with how fast his lights are. His heavy vanishes are insanely good, and the fact that you can vanish dash after and then go into any type of ability or combo after is crazy as well. The parts where he's lacking and why he landed in A tier, his vanished lights aren't that great as well, and I'm forgetting another thing. He doesn't really have any unique tech, but he is such a standard good character, good damage dealing character, that he is 100% S rank and he should be feared. Up next, we got Renji, and actually scored a total point of 12 points, which is high A tier, and I think this is perfect for Renji. I got a lot of people that might argue he's actually S tier, and I actually kind of agree with you. The thing that stops me from making S tier is that he can't call assists during his abilities, and believe it or not, for those of you that don't know, you can actually super into super. You just have to do 2 swings with the square ability and then go into your bamboo arm, but it is specified to, I think, 3 lights or something like that before. But Renji is super good. His vanished lights and vanished heavies, you can do it on literally every single one of them. Hyper armor on his circle ability. His ult has amazing tracking and can hit assists from crazy miles away. It doesn't even compare. Renji is an amazing character, and I honestly think just the fact that his assist is his square ability and the fact that he can't call assist during his abilities makes him A tier. Unfortunately, he does not sit S with his buddy Ichigo. Next up, we got arguably, probably legit the best character in the game. We got Lord Aizen. Now, surprisingly, again, he only scored 11 points, which actually makes sense because if you think about it, he really only has one super that you can actually use. The other is Dark End, the other is his wall. However, his neutral play and the fact that this man can just vanish into thin air and start the game before the game's even started, which I'm not counting, by the way, but Aizen has insane unique tech, and just his lights and vanish strings and heavy strings may not connect naturally, but the resets you can do with him put him in S tier, and his up tilt into 2 supers into whatever assist you want to use for Aizen is insanely good. And some of the even greater tech that people have found, that you can actually land Dark End off of Ichigo's switch tech, it's insane. And having a good, like, maybe Toguro assist after that can land him Dark End. It's Dark Coffin, not Dark End, sorry. Aizen definitely deserves S tier here. The numbers put him in A, but with the way people play him, he is definitely S tier. Next up, we got Rukia, and she landed a solid 9 points, which puts her in the middle of B tier. Now, arguably, I can say I don't love her right here in this spot because we've all seen what amazing Rukias can do. Her heavy string and her light string, when you vanish, have some amazing resets, as well as her vanish dash. She has some great light priority and very fast heavies. Her abilities can also hit 2 people at once. Her ultimate is extremely safe. It's very hard to punish her on that. She does have a built-in guard break cheese, which we're not counting. We don't want to talk about that, but it's there. Her assist is also very good and can also do some interesting resets depending on who your main character is. I'd actually bump her up to high B. I know a lot of people might hate this. I think she could be low A, but for me personally, even though a player can be super good on Rukia, make her S tier, I do think her natural play style is a B. Woo, baby, this next one is a fun one. You all voted him as one of the worst characters. It is Gon. He got 0. No, I'm kidding. Okay. Gon got 9 points, the same as Rukia, which is the middle of B tier. Now, I agree with everything he has. However, because of his actual play style, I'd actually put him as a low B. I'm not going to put him in C because he definitely got the points to earn him a B spot. However, it is extremely hard to play with Gon. Yes, he has an amazing down tilt and has some amazing mix-ups. If you actually use the rock, paper, scissors Junkin really well, you can actually throw a lot of people off in their playstyle. However, his assist is not that great. His paper does not do that much damage. His scissors, I feel like, should go a lot further than what they do. His tracking on a lot of his abilities stinks, and I think it should be fixed. But this character is still somewhat solid, and he's a very good damage dealer. However, you do need to know how to play him efficiently. I still think he doesn't have as many options as everyone else's. You have to do a lot more with Gon to do the same as, let's say, Luffy or Pegasus, right? So I think a solid B spot is good. Be glad I'm not putting him in a mess. I think he's a low B. I'm okay with where he is. Ooh, next up, we got Killua, the Season 1 Demon. Now, this guy was insane in Season 1, but now he's only accumulated, again, 9 points, the actual same amount of points as Gon. However, because of all his resets, his Godspeed is amazing, his Lightning Palm is standard, but does a bunch of damage and can hit multiple people. His Narukami, which is his triangle ability, is insane, can also hit multiple people. You can ult after it. I'm actually giving Killua a low A spot. I really enjoy the character. Now, he doesn't have a lot of interesting vanish resets with his lights and heavies or vanish dashes, but you can charge cancel some stuff early on in his light combo. You can grab reset. His grab as well, his after grab mix is insane. So I think a low A spot is very good. If it was Season 1, I would bump him up to high A. I don't know about S, because back in the day, you used to Lightning Palm into Lightning Palm into Lightning Palm by himself if he was near a wall. That's how crazy this character was. But I think now low A is a great spot for Killua. Now, I love this next character. We got Kurapika. Again, he only totaled 9 points, which I actually agree with. There's not a lot to this character. He can't super into super. His super's trackings aren't that great. However, for some reason, this character is still very good at just dueling. His lights are very good. He's got a built-in vanish, and it's that backstep that can actually keep you safe if an opponent escapes right away. You can chase right after. His assist is, decent. It's okay. It does heal you. However, I wish what I think would put Kurapika above a lot of characters is if you could use your heal on yourself, switch, and the heal could still be going. But that doesn't work that way. So I think having a mid B tier for Kurapika is very solid. The buff with the grab into the triangle ability is very good and well deserved. If that wasn't there, guys, I guarantee you I'd probably put him at C tier. He is not the best character, but he has proven his strength, and I love his lights and down tilts. If you didn't know, he has a built-in infinite with 3 down tilts. If you just 3 down tilts and do a light after, it's an infinite. It's crazy. He's a really good character. His up tilt can AoE. I think he's just missing, like I said with Gon, a lot of options that other characters have that he doesn't. Now, guys, do not panic for what I'm about to tell you, but Hisoka only accumulated 5 points, which puts him in C tier. It is actually insane, but it makes sense. Throughout all the lists of what I said, he can't super into super, he can't air super, he can't super into ultimate. He's missing so much that other characters have. Now, here's the thing. I do know for a fact that he has amazing resets with his light string, amazing resets with his heavy string. His down tilt into cards is actually very good as well. His assist is really annoying as well because the cards can hit multiple people and one can just kind of fly off to the side and hit you when you're not expecting it. When you land bungee gum and your opponent is blocking, it is a great mix for you. You can grab, you can light, and if they sidestep, you can light down tilt. You can catch them really off guard. His unique tech is that if he is a player 2 Hisoka and you land ultimate, you can land lights after it. He's a very good character. The numbers put him so low, but I know for a fact he is, at least in my opinion, a top B tier character. Now, I think a lot of people would argue he's A tier, and yes, my heart is telling me that he might be A tier, but number wise, he is B tier. His counter is super good. One of the only ones that can actually counter projectiles, which is amazing. However, just looking at the character and what he has, I think high B is a great spot for him. Ooh, now this next one might be controversial. Jotaro got 10 points is, I think, yeah, he got 10 points. Now that is insane. A low A for Jotaro does not make sense to me. His star finger is outrageously stupid. You cannot vanish it despite 3 years of asking for it. He's got insane hyper armor. His after grab mix is insane. He can star finger grab or just light after. His ultimate does a ton of damage and goes very far across the map. He actually has some really good vanishing with his lights and heavies. Not too many resets, but it's okay. His down tilt is very fast and can catch a lot of people off guard and can do supers right after it. In my opinion, Jotaro is a very high A character. Now a lot of people might say he's S, and I'm actually going to leave him at high A. While I do think he is a very, very, very strong character, for some reason he is just not S rank to me, despite how much I hate going against him. I think he's a solid at a high A. Now Dio also got only 10 points, which would put him at low A tier, but I have seen so much Dio tech that makes me put him, I want to say, at mid A. I could argue a high A, but I think mid A is very good. His grab ult is very devastating. Of course, you can't escape from it. His checkmate does a ton of damage and actually can hit multiple people if you're lucky enough. I'd say what's holding him back is his lack of use for the circle ability. It's a very okay ability. It can go through guard. It can take bar from people, but it actually doesn't do that much when you think about it, and the damage isn't that great. What I wish it would do and would make him high A is maybe take more bar, maybe heal himself a little bit, and maybe make it a little faster than what it is. Regardless, Dio is a threat no matter what. That heavy, and that's the unique tech I gave him a point for, that heavy being able to vanish like Aizen and just dodge certain things is crazy. The hitbox on it feels insane. It feels like it hits you when it doesn't. It's very hard to high speed counter and vanish. Dio is a solid mid tier A for me. Again, if he had a better circle ability, I think I'd put it at top A. Now up next, we're getting into the Yu Yu Hakusho characters. Yusuke actually got 10 points, which is a low A, and I actually agree with his placement here. Yusuke is a very fast-paced kind of fighting character. His ray gun is very annoying. It's very good. Easy to vanish sometimes, but hard to react to in the moment. He's got a very strong hyper armor triangle that can literally soak up any damage. It is easy to vanish away from it though when you're looking at it. His circle ability is very good. You don't usually use it in a mix or raw, but it does a ton of damage and it's unblockable, so there's that. His grab is where he really shines. He has so many options after his grab. He can dash and light, he can ray gun, he can ult, and that's where I think he shines the most. Now, he does miss a lot of options that other characters don't have. He does have a super and a super. However, landing that, you do have to do one heavy, fully charged triangle ability into ray gun, and it doesn't reward you that much. He's got some pretty nice light vanish resets and just light vanishes in general. He can roll with his ray gun, which is nice, kind of like Ryu can. And honestly, I think a solid low A is a great spot for him. You can argue a little higher, but I'm happy where he is. Oh, some of you are gonna be so upset about this. Toguro only got 8 points, which is a mid B tier. That is insane to me, but it makes sense. I was really strict on some of the stuff, like super into super. You know, you probably are all thinking, oh, Toguro definitely has that. Well, for me, he doesn't. He has to throw a light in between his invincible super to connect it with another super, and sometimes that restands, and therefore he can't actually get another super off. However, I know for playing this character and for playing against him for 3 years, he is totally an S-rank character. His assist is amazing. His instant transmission connection is insane with his invincible ability. He's got super high health and does super insane damage. He doesn't need an assist to be good, and with an assist he's even better. His assist in general is super good. The tracking got way better than it did season 1. It did get slower, but he's just as good. His down tilt is insanely fast, and we're not even counting his guard break cheese. You can connect his fully charged pistol with a lot of certain assists, and you can do it twice with certain assists, and that does so much damage just by itself for only 2 bars. Toguro for me, definitely S rank, if not high A rank. 100% agree with this spot right here. Definitely don't agree with where the numbers put him, but as we can see, numbers don't mean everything. Moving on to Kenshin, he only accumulated 9 points, which is mid B tier, and I'm actually decently happy with where the numbers put him. However, I think he could go a little higher. Now, Kenshin isn't the best character in the game. It's very hard for him to actually put out damage with his supers. He can super into super, but it requires you actually landing a fully charged heavy or using it raw. Kenshin's light string is so long and so fast that the opponent has numerous opportunities to get a high speed counter ending your damage route. He has to get a fully charged heavy to even do his triangle ability into his square ability, and then after that he can't do anything anyways. He needs an assist, so by himself he's not so great. With an assist he's great. He does have the unique tech that I actually will give him because I gave it to Kenshiro, where he can mobility lock you, or technically take away your mobility, half of your mobility, with his circle ability. He also has the unique tech of his ultimate being like a built-in reset. If you call an assist beforehand, the assist will hit after the ultimate and it will automatically reset the character. So that's very strong in his kit. However, I do believe solo, without any help, he is a mid B tier character. I would argue for a high B tier character, but I'm okay with where he's put. Don't get me wrong, I think he's a very good character. Accidentally misspoke. Kenshin having 9 points is a high B tier, so I'm happy about where he is. So Shishio up next actually only accumulated 8 points, which is a mid B tier character. I think this fits perfectly where he is. He doesn't have too many options for mix-ups. He has some great down tilts and up tilt resets. His vanish string for lights isn't that good, as well as heavies, but it's still there. His damage is insane, however he takes just as much as he deals. He can't really super into super, so that's a pretty big deal for that. However, with an assist, Shishio does shine. Doing 2 Cyclones and then into ult is a huge damage combo. You can do a lot of cool resets with his triangle ability being command grab and all. However, his square ability is pretty underwhelming and it launches them into the air, forcing you to switch. So Shishio by himself can't do too much. I'm not much to really say on this character. Mid B tier to me. I think it's a perfect spot. Next up is Yugi, and I'm actually super happy with how many points he got. He actually got 12 points, which puts him at high A tier, and I absolutely agree. There are some drawbacks about him. First, him being like a standish user, his lights actually don't go that far, and they actually can sometimes miss depending if the character is too close to your to Yugi. However, his down tilts and up tilts make up for that. His up tilts go super far. His lights in general have amazing priority. His heavies go crazy far as well. His abilities are really basic, but they do so much. He's got an area of effect that can hit 2 people. His square ability shoots 3 projectiles, 4 if you add the draw card. It's very annoying as an assist as well. The only thing I don't like about him is his draw. He has 2, feels kind of useless. Swords of Revealing Light can easily be dodged by good players. It's really not that hard to dodge. And the magic buff doesn't really seem to do too much. But the arrows are super good. It's like Cell's Perfect Shield. Characters cannot just get in on you, and they track very well. Yugi's got some insane tech with other assists as well. If you guys seen my Trunk and Yugi video, it's crazy what they can do together. By himself, Yugi can do a lot with the instant transmission as well. His ultimate is AoE. He's actually just a crazy character, and a lot of people don't use him, and I'm not sure why. I actually think it does take a little bit more skill to use him versus other characters, but I think high A is a perfect spot for this character. Next up, we got the #1 hero, Deku, and he actually got 9 points, which is a high B tier, and I agree with this spot. Back in season 1, he would have been A tier for me because he was able to do multiple Delaware smashes in the air and dash after to do something, but now he can't do that. They took that away from him for some reason. He's still a really good character. He has hyper armor on a lot of his moves. His Manchester Smash isn't that great using it raw. The tracking's not that great. And sometimes I've actually managed to drop it after doing 3 heavies or just 1 heavy, so I don't know what that's about. His light vanish is not that great. His heavy vanish is okay as well, but there are some clean resets that you can do in them. His down tilt is closely related to Gon's down tilt, and I like that. It's super good. Sometimes it just feels like Deku's lacking in damage, and his assist is not that great. It's usually mostly used for a get off me tool if you ever call it in. I think a high B tier is a pretty humble spot for him. I'd argue low A because he actually is a good character and he can connect a lot of supers into supers and supers into ultimates. However, just the way he is right now, I feel high B is a good spot for him. Oh baby, Suna is not gonna like this one. Asta, just like Hisoka, only got 5 points, which is insane to me, but it makes sense. He can't super into super. He has no super into ultimate. He's in the same boat as Hisoka. However, I think Asta has way more potential than Hisoka, and I think this is a very tough decision for me. It's either low A or high B, and I'd argue high B more because his tracking on his ult is not that great. His Black Hurricane isn't the best ability. It can hit multiple people. His square ability can hit multiple people. However, it's just not that reliable. His ultimate is really good. It can stop characters from using their supers and abilities, but they can just switch right after. Sometimes you can stop the switch. Asta alone is pretty good. His pressure is insane. The little freaking rat is always on you with the up tilts and down tilts. They have huge priority over most of your lights, but I think he does need an assist to be a lot stronger than he is. It's so hard for me to not put him in A tier because Deku's not in A tier. Like, these two, I would argue, are like on equal footing. Asta being a little more mix-up oriented, where Deku's just straight up damage. But it hurts me to put him there, but I'm gonna do it. Dang, man, that actually hurts. Next up is Dai. He's got 11 points. That is a solid mid A tier. Very happy with this spot. There's not much to say on Dai. He's got some amazing abilities. The fact that his circle ability can dodge ultimates is insane. He's got great lights and great heavies. However, you can't really do any vanish mix-ups with them. However, they're still good. They're sometimes hard to high-speed counter. His square and triangle ability are great tracking and great reach as well. You can use them both in the air. Dai is just an overall well-rounded character. He's got great grab mix-up as well. You can grab ult with them. There's not much really to say. He's just a good, balanced, mid-A tier character. We are finally getting into the DLC, and if I did it the other way, guys, I would have never gotten to this point. I apologize if you liked it the other way. If you didn't like it the other way, I don't care. But Kaiba's up next, and he got a solid 11 points, and I think that is a mid-A tier. Let me recheck that. Only 11 points. Oh, he got 10 points, which is a low A. I don't agree with this. My man deserves to be high A with his boy Yugi. His light priority with Blue Eyes is insane. The hitbox, the fact that you can get hit and then Blue Eyes can just come out of nowhere and smack the opponent and then keep you safe is insane. His draws are way better than Yugi. You can actually do stuff after them. His abilities are fast and do a lot of damage. His ultimate can be combined with Burst Stream. You can charge Burst Stream, which does a lot of damage. With an assist, Kaiba is insane. His light vanishes are cracked. His heavy vanishes are cracked. Lots of reset potential in there and lots of true combo potential as well. His grab is not that great for a mix-up potential. Kaiba really just shines with Blue Eyes. His hitbox is insane. His lights are amazing. I don't think any of you can argue or convince me that he is lower than high A. You might convince me he's S tier as well, but right now I'm going to keep him at high A just because I think that's perfect for where he is. Now, this next one actually kind of hurt me to see. You all know she's one of my favorite characters, and she only got 6 points. I remember when she was first coming out, I would convince everyone she was S rank. Unfortunately, in my heart, I do believe she's S rank, but in my mind and thoughts and logic, she actually, in my opinion, if I'm being completely unbiased, is middle A, low A. She is a very strong character with her heavies and her square ability being safe and sometimes plus, as well as you can counter after the square ability if you're not plus, is a very good mixed-up option. She's very strong with an assist, being able to land another square ability after an assist if you have the right assist. Her ultimate doesn't go too far, but it's just a standard ultimate. You can't do an assist after it, so it's not too great, and you can connect it with a super, but it's that super after the buff, so it makes it kind of hard to do so. I think Bisky is one of those overall balanced characters, kind of similar to Dai. She has some great options and great tools. However, she does lack the super onto super connection, and she is usually shined with a good assist behind her back. But I think low A, mid A is a great spot for her. Now, this one was super interested to see, and I accidentally already put him there. All Might actually only got 7 points, which puts him at a low B, which is crazy, but we all know he is mid A. I don't even have to say anything about him. He is mid A, low A, high A, wherever you want to put him. Me personally, he's mid. He's crazy with the hyper armor on his moves. His mix-ups are very scary to go against. His after grab mix-ups are insane. You can actually sometimes land a light after the grab if you dash light. I've never been able to do it. People have told me you can though. Especially if you just spam lights after they land on the ground from the grab. When they get up, they'll be hit with a bunch of lights, or they can vanish or guard it, and then if they vanish, you can just down tilt, and his down tilt is just so insane. It sets up an easy 50-50 mix. All Might is just crazy pressure and scary to go against. The one move I say that is probably not his best is Oklahoma Smash. It's a command grab. It's whatever, but you can still do some fancy stuff. Carolina Smash, if you charge it, it is safe, sometimes plus. Detroit Smash can hit multiple characters, and sometimes, for the most part, you can land an ultimate after it. So All Might being mid A is a perfect spot. He's a very good character. He's insane. Now this stupid fat freaking character, Boo, he is crazy. He got 10 points, and of course, we all know that is not where he belongs. My personal opinion, S rank. We all know that Boo has been slept on since day one. Our boy Savior really brought him out of his shell. His 50-50 mix with his circle ability is crazy. It can hit multiple people. It can shoot away multiple people. His ultimate is AoE, does so much damage raw and awakened. His chocolate beam isn't the greatest, but it actually does a lot more damage than you think. You don't see a lot of people doing it. His triangle ability can hit multiple people as well, and it pushes them away and you can switch. You got a lot of options after it. His grab mix-up isn't the best, but it's very good for a long grab animated sequence. A lot of people don't take this into account, but if your opponent's awakened and you grab them, the longer grab animation, the longer it wastes their time for their awakening. Boo has the highest health as well in the game, along with Toguro and BlackBeard, and I believe he also does insane damage. Not believe, I know he does insane damage. In his jump lights, we've all seen it. Crazy tracking, goes insanely far like Kane. Boo actually has some really good heavy vanish mix-ups. He doesn't have too great of vanish light mix-ups, but that doesn't really matter because he's got built in with that circle ability, and that's only 1 bar if you want to use it. Plus, he can cancel it. He can bait people out with it. He has hyper armor on it as well. He is just an overall insane character. The numbers put him at low A, but we all know he's an S tier character. Hopefully you agree. Next up, we got Bakugo, and he only got 9 points. Now, of course, we're going to move him up to low A tier for right now. Let's talk about him a bit. First of all, his stun grenade I counted as unique tech. First of all, if you kill someone with it, it actually carries over the mobility lock to the next round, which is crazy. Not a lot of characters can do that. His turbo, I think that's his triangle move, can be used in the air and go straight to the ground. It can be connected with each other, which is also insane. His AP shot is crazy as an assist and as a main character. Can hit multiple people. Even if you vanish it, it tracks like a sprinkler, and sometimes you vanish into it and you get hit regardless. The 50-50 mix with it too. If you're making the opponent block, you can grab or you can AP shot. It's so scary to go against this character. His down tilt's really fast. His up tilts aren't too great, but he's got some great vanish mix-ups and some heavy vanish mix-ups. They're not too great for true combos, but Bakugo being a very good mix-up oriented character, I would place him probably around where Bisky is. Very good character in general. This one I actually struggled on. Toshiro only got 9 points, which puts him at a solid high B. Now, of course, I actually think he's A. Some people might disagree with me and say he's S tier. While Toshiro is a very good character, his lights are super fast, his heavies are crazy, his down tilts and up tilts are just as good as his normal lights. His abilities are great as well. He's a standard overall great character. However, there's a lot of issues with them that I think, first of all, when you awaken and you turn big, your hitbox becomes even bigger, which is a huge downfall. You can grab with Goku and then use your Meteor Rush. That's crazy. It will hit Toshiro. I'm not a fan of that. However, he does shine in the mix-up opportunity. His lights are very fast. His light vanishes are crazy. His heavy vanishes are crazy, and we've seen he can do crazy tech with like a switch vanish heavy thing. So I think mid A tier, low A tier is perfect for him. What's stopping him from S is that huge downfall with his awakening. I don't know why that's in the game, but it is really funny to see. However, I think mid A tier is fine with him. I don't think we need to say anything else. I think he's perfect. Next up, we got Madara, and he got a solid 10 points, and I'm actually okay with where he landed. He's a very strong character. His abilities are okay. His fireballs are not the greatest. However, they do cover a long range and can hit assists. His Susanoo is probably his best ability. His counter is very good, being able to land ult after it, as well as just vanish and dash. He's got a built-in reset if you know how to do it. Very good by himself. Again, his down tilts and up tilts are on par with Toshiro. I think what's stopping him from becoming maybe high A or S is just his lack of abilities in the supers. The fireball can wipe people out really fast. His assist isn't the greatest with the fireballs as well. But overall, he's a very strong character. His IT connection, he can dash and light. He's got a lot of options. I just think he's more mix-up oriented. His grab's super solid, and his ultimate goes really far across the map. And has a grab ult as well. So I think a mid-A, high-A is a very good spot for Madara. Next up, we got Grimmjow. Now, this guy also only got 9 points, which would be high B tier. Now, actually, if you look at him, it makes sense. He doesn't really have supers in the supers. He needs an assist to be very, very good. Zoro does very high damage. His snowballs do a ton of damage if you hit more than one. And his circle ability actually isn't that bad for a command grab. Its tracking is poor, but it does a lot of damage and can hit pretty well. However, I do think he deserves to be at least a low A tier. I think Grimmjow shines with an assist more than by himself. He doesn't have very good heavy vanish mix-ups or light vanish mix-ups. So I think this is a good spot. You might disagree with me that he deserves to be higher because of his damage output and whatnot, but because I think he does need an assist to shine immensely more than he does when he's solo, I think a low A is fine. I know he can do a lot by himself as well. The down tilts are crazy, very good down tilts, and you can land the snowball after it and down tilt again, but I'm happy with low A. I think he's a very good character, but needs an assist. Todoroki only got 9 points as well, which would be a high B tier. We all know this is completely false. In my opinion, he's mid A. He's got amazing resets. His square ability is an automatic reset. You can grab ult. It's crazy what you can do with this character. With an assist, it's even crazier with switches. He's got some great resets opportunities with his Vanished Lights, as well as with his Vanished Heavies. His half charge heavy is crazy as well. You can do a lot of unique things with that. Overall, again, I think he's a decently balanced character. He does have some issues. The high-speed counter, if you get a high-speed counter with him, sometimes it actually punishes you for doing so. So there's some issues with him, but again, I think mid-tier is perfectly fine for this character. And he does a lot of high damage, and I don't think he's completely balanced in that way, but I think mid A tier is fine, and I think he is naturally a balanced character. The King of the Ants is next, and now there is no picture here, so I'm just gonna put some random picture up here, but he is unbelievably S. There's no, do I have to say anything about it? I really don't think I have to say anything. He's got literally nothing wrong with him. The only thing I would say that's wrong with him is the fact that his triangle ability is a little slow. But even then, it's still hard to sidestep sometimes. So even there's nothing wrong with the character, dude. He's broken. He's S tier. How many points he got though? He actually only got 10 points, but we all know he's freaking broken and he's S tier. Next up, we got Law, and he actually got 11 points, which puts him at mid A tier. Now, I'm actually not convinced he belongs here. I think he's actually high A or S himself. Law is a super good character. His light doesn't feel fast, yet somehow it beats almost half the cast on light priority. It's insane. He can do an instant transmission into his pillars. He can switch characters, which is unique tech. He can force your character to switch. His ultimate does insane damage and has insane range as well. Sometimes you can land an assist after that, but that requires you to R3. His grab is great with a mix-up opportunity as well. If you super cancel one of your supers, the room stays and chips down their health little by little. Not enough to actually make a huge difference or any difference at all, but it's still there. I think Law is an excellent character with insane down tilts and up tilts as well. Doesn't have too good of vanish combos with the lights, but has some decent heavy vanish combos. Honestly, high A. Very hard for me not to put him as S. I honestly don't know what would push me to put him over. He used to have high health. His health was nerfed, so maybe I'll use that as an excuse to why he's only high A. But I still think great character, deserves to be an A regardless. Oh, now I know a lot of people are going to get mad at this one, but Hiei only got 5 points as well. Now, of course, I have seen the potential with this character. I've seen what so many people can do, but for me, he is just not it. And this might be probably one of my most biased decisions to only put him in high B tier. He does very good damage and is very good at using his supers in general, and his ultimate having a unique tech that gets stronger after he uses the ultimate. It makes sense, but his lights for me are just so awful and so bad, and his heavies are kind of the same way, to whereas you can't vanish during any of the lights or any of the heavies, and there's not too many reset opportunities. I know you can get creative with it and you can go crazy with the down tilt a little bit with that reset, but for me, he just doesn't have as much as other characters for me to put him even at low A. So I'm gonna stick him high B, and I do feel bad about it, but that is probably maybe one of the most negative bias decisions I've made out of this tier list, but I think he deserves to be there. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Yoruichi is completely, in my opinion, an A tier character. She is super good. She got 10 points, which is low A, and I think she's in the perfect spot. Not much to say about her. I don't like her lights terribly. I'm not a huge fan. But they're still good. They got some excellent priority. Her square ability is insane. You can use it in the air. You can charge her circle ability. Her triangle ability is actually really cool as a command grab. If they're not even in the vicinity of using the triangle ability, it won't actually use the bar for it. So I think that's really cool. I don't think she has any unique tech, but she does have some really cool resets and some pretty easy heavy vanish mixes as well as light vanish mixes. So A tier for me, easy spot, not much to say about her. Giorno is the last DLC we got for Jump Force. It is a sad time. He is clearly S rank in my opinion. His ultimate takes away your character for the entire round. His Muda does insane damage and you can stack it up 3 times. He can heal himself for 3 bars. And the tree is actually a very good kind of defense option. It can get off. It's not the best ability in the world, but it does what it needs to do. His Vanish Heavies are insane. You can just keep doing them. His Vanish Lights aren't that great, but do offer some good mix-up potential. His grab is insane. You can grab, you can heal after the grab. You can ult after the grab. His down tilt tracks like crazy. His up tilt is just as good. He's just an overall super good character, and because of the unique tech he has, it just puts him in S rank. There's not much to say about him. I don't know how you can convince me he's any lower. Getting to our 3 main villains of the Jump Force storyline, we got Kane. And Kane, my man, actually got a solid 13 points. So this is a character that we haven't had in a while that has gotten all the points they need to hit S rank, and I 100% agree with this. Not much to say on this. This character is super fast, does a lot of damage, is very squishy, takes a lot of damage, but you can say the same thing about Sasuke. Kane has some options that not a lot of other characters have. He has some great heavy vanish mix-ups as well as light vanish mix-ups. He is super fast, can go around the map in seconds with just a jump light as well, same as Boo. There's not much to say about him. His ultimate's AoE, he can hit people with Ignition Bullet. His 1-bar super is insanely OP. Planet Breaker is a crazy 2-bar ability, can hit multiple people and stun the assist. It's insane. I bet some of you have probably waited for this. We got our main girl, Galena. She actually got 8 points, which puts her in B tier, and I actually 100% agree with her. B tier is a perfect spot for her. You all voted her as one of the worst characters for that one challenge I did. However, experimenting with her and playing with her, she is very good. She does have that quite useless ability, her circle. It's really not that great. Not even, I haven't seen a lot of players even maximize it or make it optimal in any way. But she does shine with an assist. Similar to Grimmjow, she needs an assist to be amazing. She doesn't need one to do damage, but it is crazy. Her square ability does feel useless, but surprisingly, it does so much chip damage for absolutely no reason. This ability just does immense chip damage, like it actually hit the character. So she's good in that retrospect. She has some good great light vanish mix-ups as well as heavy vanish mix-ups. She has some great grab reset opportunities and after grab mixes as well. Instant transmission connection as well. I think she's a solid B tier. She is missing a lot of these characters have up here, as well as just having kind of a useless ability that no one's really taking advantage of. Oh my god, we did it, bro. It is only the leader of Jump Force, the villain himself, Prometheus, left. I'm never doing this again. He got 11 points, mid A tier, but we all know he's a high A tier. I don't think he's S just because of how squishy he is. Actually, now that I'm rethinking it, he could be. If we talk about it, let's talk about it. His abilities are amazing. All of them can hit multiple people. He can also land ultimates off the second ability and the third ability. He does have a built-in guard break cheese, which we're not going to count, but it should be noted. He can grab and dash and light after. He can also switch and do a circle ability, and it does major damage. His tracking on the little balls that he throws in his light string is crazy. He actually has a standard infinite as well as his own unique infinite. I'm forgetting what it is. I think you just down tilt or half charge the down tilt and you can light, and then it's still an infinite, which is crazy. His mix-ups are insane. It's very scary to go against this character. I'd actually might put him at S, if not for his low health and the fact that he's weak against everything. That's not a huge deal in my eyes, but I'm gonna go ahead and leave it at A. Guys, we are officially done. I'm so sorry this video is so long. I know a lot of you wanted me to go by each step, and some of you wanted me to go by it quickly. I didn't know how to please everyone, and I don't like how this video turned out. But this is my official tier list right here. I do agree with a lot of it. It does hurt me to see some of these guys in B tier, like Asta, Deku, Hisoka, Kenshiro, Kenshin, Rukia. I think those guys are the ones I hate to see in B tier, but I'm just putting them there to kind of make it seem like I'm not being too biased. But overall, let me know what you guys think. 3 years with this game, tomorrow or today, whenever this video gets freaking out, is the 3rd year anniversary of Jump Force. I love this game, guys. I've met a lot of cool people. I've met all of you guys. I love that you subbed to me for this game. I'm happy we played it. Hopefully the next one will be just as good. I'm hoping better. It can be a lot better, but it still was good. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm so sorry this video was long. I'll try and leave timestamps in a comment to warn everyone. I'll see you guys all later. Have a great one. My voice hurts. Bye.